In this video, we're going to talk about the preferential trade agreement between Chile and India, which promotes economic operations between these two countries. First, we're going to talk about general characteristics of each country. Then, we're going to analyze which strategies were used by each party during the negotiation, taking into account the huge influence of the culture in this process. This will let you understand why Chile and India actually could achieve an agreement and be both benefit.
Chile. Today, Chile is one of the South America's most stable and prosperous nations, a recognized middle power, and an emerging economy. It leads Latin American nations in human development, competitiveness, income per capita, globalization, economic freedom, and low perception of corruption. Their economy is based on copper, raw materials, and manufacture various consumer goods. In 2006, Chile became the country with highest nominal GDP per capita in Latin America. In May 2010, Chile became the first South American country to join the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The most important non-mineral exports are forestry and wood products, fresh fruit and processed food, fish meal and seafood, and wine. Its major imports are equipment for oil and petroleum products, chemical, electrical equipment, and telecommunications, industrial machinery, vehicles, natural gas. India. It is the seventh largest country by area, the second most populated country with over 1.2 billion people, and the most populated democracy in the world. The service sector makes up 55.6% of GDP, the industrial sector 26.3%, and the agricultural sector 18.1%. Major agricultural products include rice, wheat, oilseed, cotton, jute, tea, sugarcane, and potatoes. Major industries include textiles, telecommunication, chemicals, food processing, steel, transport, equipment, cement, mining, petroleum, machinery, and software. Major exports include petroleum products, textile goods, jewelry, software, engineering goods, chemical and leather manufacturers. Major imports include crude oil, machinery, gems, and chemicals. The trade.
The agreement to promote economic cooperation between India and Chile was signed on January of 2005. It was signed as a preferential trade agreement as a first step. This first step was finalized after 4 rounds of negotiation between the two sides. The last round of negotiation was held in New Delhi in November of 2005. The agreement was approved by the Cabinet in its meeting held on February of 2006, and consequently the preferential trade agreement was signed in March of the same year. The Parliament of Chile approved it in April of 2007 and its President signed it in August of the same year.
Cross-cultural differences. Based on Lewis' model, Chile and India have specific characteristics that differentiate one from each other, having a multi-active or reactive classification.
Chile, multi-active, talk most of the time. Emotional, display feelings, has good excuses. Impatient, unlimited body language.
India, reactive, listens most of the time, polite and direct, never confronts, doesn't interrupt. Statements are promises, diplomacy over truth, patient, connects the social and professional.
Based on hostile model, there are several factors that determine cultural differences. They are power distance, uncertainty and avoidance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, and long-term orientation. India is represented by blue line, and Chile is represented by red line.
Power distance. India scores high on this dimension, 77, indicating an appreciation for hierarchy and a top-down structure in society and organizations.
Chile, with a 63, it represents scores lower on power distance than most other Latin American countries. Organizational arrangements show taller pyramids and low degrees of delegation. Status symbols are used to underline power differences. A hierarchical social structure and rather rigid social classes are present. India scored 40 on this dimension and thus has a medium-low preference for avoiding uncertainty. In India, there is acceptance of imperfection. Nothing has to be perfect, nor has to go exactly as planned. India is traditionally a patient country where tolerance for the unexpected is high, even welcome as a break from monotony. People generally don't feel driven and compelled to take action initiative, and comfortably settle into established roles and routines without questioning. At 86, Chile scored high on uncertainty avoidance, and so do the majority of Latin American countries. These societies show a strong need for rules and elaborate legal systems in order to structure life.
On the other hand, India, with a score of 48, is a society with clear collectivistic traits. This means that there is a high preference for belonging to a larger social framework in which individuals are expected to act in accordance to the greater good of ones defined in groups. While Chile has a 23 score, which is considered low on this dimension, in line with most other Latin American countries. Workers tend to look for more autonomy and variety in their positions, are far more assertive than in the past and do not hesitate to change employers. These changes can be expected given the remarkable increase of Chile's GDP and the fact that economic development fosters individualism.
India scored 56 on this dimension and is thus considered a masculine society in terms of visual display of success and power. While with Chile, evidence reveals the feminine character of Chilean society with a 23 score. Far from being arrogant, both Chilean men and women show a modest behavior or attitude. The Indians scored 61, making it a long-term pragmatic culture. In India, the concept of karma dominates religious and philosophical thought. In India, there is an acceptance that there are many truths and often depends on the seeker. It typically forgives lack of punctuality, a changing game plan based on changing reality.
In the following videos, we're going to see some mistakes that can be committed in a negotiation when the culture is not taken into account.
We are late! No, don't worry, it's not a vacation. What time is it? We have been waiting for a long time.
No, you're right. We should go now.
Yes. They are here!
Finally.
Namaste!
Welcome! Would you like to try one of our best wines?
Oh my god, no. Just water, please.
Okay.
Okay, let's have a break. Guess what?
We have a delicious roast beef for you guys.
Are you serious? We're gonna think about it. See you next time.
But wait!
Yeah, yes or no?
Okay, we don't know. We just don't work under pressure. Now we're going to talk about the different strategies that were used in this negotiation.
Strategies 1 and 2.
During this negotiation, we could observe that the Indian part was doing most of the time its way. As it was said before, it took more than 4 meetings to conclude this negotiation in a positive way. In the same way was seen in the results where India have a big advantage over Chile in the amount of products they agreed to exchange in the trade agreement. According to Fisher, it can be seen in this process that the strategy that India used was managing the situation in a soft way, as they are more interested on analyzing the negotiation than other things, but always thinking on the main goal, the agreement. Opposite from Chileans, which are always thinking on the goal and the relationship. It means they work under the hard position of the Fisher theory.
Strategies 3 and 4.
Even though it took time to reach an agreement, the Indians were concrete but flexible. It means they adapt themselves to the circumstances and the situation for the good of both parts. On the other hand, we see Chile as a country in which people search for the single answer. For this reason, it is shown in this negotiation that they were always pushing for the right response from the Indians.
Finally, in this video, we're going to talk about the consequences and outcomes of the negotiation. The flow of trade between Chile and India has shown significant increases since 2007. In this chart, we can observe how the exports, imports, trade balance, and commercial trade increased steadily until 2009 and continues to this day. This favorable trade situation between Chile and India has led them to continue with several rounds of negotiations to expand the trade agreement between these two countries, leading them to accomplish an agreement in July 2011 that consists in the exchange of the priority products of both countries. Due to the positive results that the preferential trade agreement has reached, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chile, Alfredo Moreno, confirmed that his country and India will begin negotiations on a free trade agreement by the end of 2012.